Rena Morocco from Newly Jewish. I've done my research. I'm over my chest cold. During the time that I've been on sabbatical since my last video, I've gotten better. I also had some surgery, so that kind of put me under the weather, and I'm ready for some chicken soup, even though I'm feeling a lot better. So I've done a little bit of research on chicken soup recipes, Jewish chicken soup recipes, and it turns out that Jewish chicken soup isn't so different from Italian chicken soup. So I'm going to show you how to make chicken soup. A friend of mine called it Jewish penicillin. Yay. So the first thing, the most important ingredient when you're making chicken soup is the chicken. I recommend splurging and getting an organic chicken, a whole chicken. I have been told recently that it comes out much better if you cut it up, although this is, I admit, my first time of doing it, of cutting up the chicken for chicken broth. The next most important thing is your aromatic vegetables. And so I have here some celery, I have onions, I have carrots, some are from my garden, and same with the onions, some are from my garden, and there is some garlic in here somewhere too that got hidden. Here it is, the garlic. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that I don't really peel my vegetables too much. If you're going to use red onions, you may want to peel it because that might give the stock a off color, but you don't have to peel the vegetables. They're cut in quarters. I like them chunky because then after I can cut them up and put them into the soup. If you notice my celery's kind of, you know, not the greatest. I've had it for a while. It hasn't gone bad yet, but it's old. It's kind of flimsy. I would never eat it. I would never eat it by itself. But in a soup, it's perfect. The flavors will impart. Here, these are just organic carrots, baby carrots, and then here's some carrots from my garden that I'm going to use. I even have a red carrot there from my garden, and I'm going to throw those in. Now, the most important thing is the herbs that I put in, and I always say this is the secret to my chicken soup is the herbs. I love thyme, I love bay leaves, and I love pepper. And then I get these muslin bags. They're the kind that you make tea out of, you put for tea. And I'll just put all my aromatic or my herbs in there, and then I can stick that into the pot, and then when it comes time to take it out, I can just take that out. So now I'm ready to start cooking the chicken soup. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chicken. Here it is. I like a nice big stock pot. The bigger the better. You can also, alternatively, if you happen to use chopped vegetables, which is real popular because they're selling them at stores like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods, sell your carrots and your celery and your onions already chopped up. Sometimes you want to get those because they're handy to have around. If you do that, a hint is, you know those stainless steel liners that they use for pasta cooking? Those pasta cookies, you can put that in and put all your vegetables in there as well as your chicken, and then when your chicken stock is done, you just lift the strainer out and all the broth stays behind and you've already got it completely strained out, and then you can use those vegetables as you see fit. The drawback to that is you don't get as much stock. So just to let you know that is one of the things that you need to be aware of if you are going to use that. But in a pinch, it really works. I will use it. But I make chicken stock a lot. So anyway, so that's the first thing is the chicken. It's in the pot. The next thing I'm going to put in is the aromatic vegetables. And last but not least, I'm going to fill my little pouch, and I'm going to put my spice pouch in there. Now we're all ready for the water. Now I happen to be very fortunate. I have a pot filler here on my stove, so I am able to get water into my pot. But you put water in your pot. You can, if you don't have a pot filler, you can just use a teapot, a tea kettle, fill it up with water. You want to fill it up to a good amount, close to the brim, and then make sure your little spice package is in there, and then you just turn the heat on and let it boil. Now the myth is that you want to boil soup all day long for a good stock. And, you know, really the more you boil it, the more protein you're going to get into it and a lot more flavor. It's almost becomes like a consomme. Personal preference and time. Usually when I'm not feeling good, or if one of my kids are not feeling good and I'm making chicken soup, I really don't want to be boiling soup all day long. So I just want to go as quickly as possible. You really only need about an hour and you get a really, really good broth, especially with all the vegetables and aromatics in there and the herbs and spices. Now, one thing you might want to notice is that I did not put any salt in my chicken stock. I don't ever salt my chicken stock, and not even after it's done boiling or cooking. It's not necessary. If you put enough aromatic vegetables in there and enough herbs, you never need to salt it. It comes out fabulous. And you can do this. This is basically the same recipe you can do for any broth. If you have beef bones, oxtails, whatever. One time I had a pork bone. And I made a pork broth, and it came out fabulous. And so, you know, this is the basic recipe that I've always done for chicken soup. It comes out really good. So, with that, I'm going to put the lid on the chicken soup, and we're going to let it boil. And there we have the finished chicken soup in the pot. Now I'll strain that out. I'll strain the vegetables out, and then we'll have the broth. Here's a quick and easy way to store your chicken broth once you've made it. After you've strained it and cooled it, if you put it in the refrigerator, you should get a layer of fat on top, and you can remove that so that way you'll have fat-free broth. And then what I do is I get a cookie sheet and I line it with foil. And then I put these 5-ounce paper cups on there, and I'll ladle the chicken broth in there, and then I'll put it in the freezer. It takes less than an hour for it to pretty much freeze, and then I'll put it in a Ziploc baggie that I label with the date. This happens to be turkey broth that I made last Thanksgiving with the turkey carcass. And then you have these really nifty little cups of frozen chicken broth. They're roughly about a half a cup each, so they're perfect for using in recipes, in your favorite recipes. And you just run them under some warm water, and they'll slide right out. And if you need to thaw them, you can few seconds in the microwave oven and they thaw. Otherwise, you can just, most recipes, if you're making risotto or whatever, you can just put it on a stove and let it thaw that way, and then you can use it for risotto. But this way you always have homemade fresh chicken broth available for you. If you get sick and you're really sick and you don't really want to make chicken broth for yourself, you have it available. You just thaw a few of these out, throw in some noodles and some vegetables, and you're good to go.